Welcome to Can We Talk? I'm Derek.
And I'm Sonia. Thank you for watching. Today's episode is entitled The Power of the P. Now, for those that saw our preview for this show, you were probably thinking something different about that P word. It's not what you think, so get your mind out the gutter. This is a clean show. So what's the P stand for?
I almost said it. The P stands for presence. 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 You know, when you're in school and when they take roll, what do? They call your name and you say present. That's all it means. You're present. You're present in that class. You're present in that seat. Today we're going to be talking about presence in a marriage. What does presence mean for both the husband and the wife? So men have something that was given to us called presence. It was given to us in the garden at the beginning. God says you have dominion over everything. And what he meant by that is that you also have presence. So when I put you in a place, you're supposed to have that a place of strength and of confidence. And so when you walk into work, or you walk into school, or you walk into your home, everyone is like, he's there. And more specifically, we're talking about in marriage. So if a man comes into his home and the children are running to him and saying, Daddy's home, and they jump into his arms, presence. His wife is there waiting for him with an apple pie, hot out the oven. And okay, that's a little bit of lying, but okay. She's coming to him like, man, my man is home. He's here. Everything is okay. Everything is safe. It's safe emotionally. It's safe spiritually. It's safe physically. That's presence. Presence is when you walk into a room and your wife is watching TV and she's watching America's Top Model. And you sit down next to her and she's looking at you like you're crazy. You sit down next to her and you're like, not saying a word. And you're waiting for Christina to be voted off. Is that the name? Christina? Yeah, that's the chick I'm watching. That's presence. Watching Top Model with your wife, because you're making yourself available.
Yeah.
You're making your physical being available. So when a man has presence, God gave him presence. And the thing is that if a man doesn't have presence, he's going to come through that same door, and the kids are going to not want to be bothered with him. They're going to say, oh, he's home, and they go into another room, or they avoid him. Or the wife is like, man, I ain't trying to deal with that dude. And so the presence can be a negative feeling. And husbands, you don't want that to be you. You want to have what God gave you, which is presence. So what comes from presence?
What word comes from presence? Essence. And the essence is what God puts in a woman that came out of the man. Isn't that deep? I think that's so beautiful. So when God gave Eve to Adam, he first made her from his rib and then formed her and then brought her to him. And Derek coined this phrase, essence, years ago in our marriage when I would shut down and give him the silent treatment. You guys, you wives know what I'm talking about. You remember when you get upset and your husband has offended you, or he hasn't met your need, or he's made you mad, and you shut down, and we call it the silent treatment. I used to give Derek the silent treatment, and he would say, your essence is being withdrawn. Please, can you give it back to me? Please give it back to me. I used to be like, what is he talking about? And then I started paying attention to how he responded when I was engaging and when I would shut down. And I realized that this thing called essence is real. It's actually what fills the home with the harmony that we talked about is in the heart of the wife in last week's episode. So if you didn't see that episode, go back and watch that one. But we create harmony from essence.
So we want to really give you a real life demonstration of what presence and what essence look like. So, of course, our dog Oliver. We talked about Oliver last week.
And I said y'all were
And-
going to meet him. Derek said, absolutely not. And how about it? He's in the next episode.
So we're going to show you what essence and what presence looks like coming from our relationship with Oliver.
Okay, so we're back with our friendly canine Oliver. And this is our 7-year-old Bichon Frise. He's actually Sion's dog, but she's away at college. And it is a family effort taking care of him, but somehow he finds his way to Derek, who is the least of the dog lovers in this house. I love dogs. I'm a dog lover. He is not. We're going to talk about presence in a second and see what happens when I get up to leave. Now, if you don't know anything about Bichons, they have high separation anxiety and attachment issues. You don't even want to see when we go on family trips how he acts in the car when we go get gas or snacks and he can't come. But we're going to see how he acts when I leave, because if you know Bichons, he should want to follow me or flip out, right? Okay, so let's see what happens.
You want to say something?
Bye.
Okay.
Bye, Holly.
He's not moving.
I'll see you.
Okay.
Bye. I'm chopped liver. My feelings should be hurt, right? My feelings should be hurt. I'm mommy. I'm mommy. I have essence, right? Okay, so stand tight. Let's secure this. We're going to pass Oliver over to me. Right? Hey, Ollie. There's the Ollie puss. Yeah. Aw. You going to hang out with mommy? Yeah. Yeah. Wait for it. Does that make any sense? It doesn't make sense. That's how you know it's spiritual. Because, you know, dogs are instinctively going to respond
Call me.
without any
Call me. Oh, Mom.
bribing.
Which one? Presence or essence? Which one?
He
Presence.
doesn't even like dogs. So you saw our friendly illustration with our dog Oliver and how presence was clearly represented with his response to Derek leaving and his response to me leaving. Which leads us to the question of the week. And we want to take a moment and say thank you for sending in your questions. Please keep them rolling in. They're really good. Of course, we can only do one each week.
Right.
And the question of the week for this episode is a question that says, how do you deal with an insecure husband? How do you deal with an insecure husband? We thought that this was actually a good segue question from the illustration that we showed earlier with presence and essence, because clearly a man who's insecure isn't going to show presence in his house. He isn't going to see about everybody else before him. You know, a king sees about his kingdom before everybody else. And he's still in charge. He still has authority, but he makes sure everybody in his kingdom is straight. So an insecure man isn't able to do that. An insecure man is thinking about me first. And you have to ask yourself, if your husband is insecure, where did it come from? Was it caused by you? Or was it caused by someone else? Was it caused by someone else and you perpetuated it? Or do you have no idea? But you have to trace the breadcrumbs to his insecurity. Did you cheat on him? Do you flirt? What kind of temperament do you have? Are you so outgoing that you forget to respect that he's your husband in social settings? I mean, there are a lot of different reasons a husband could be insecure. But we're going to just look at the average man, because I'm sure that in some homes there are extenuating circumstances and you may have to do extenuating, things, responses to that. But in this particular question, we're going to take the average man who wasn't really supposed to be insecure. No man really is supposed to be insecure. Their manhood and their masculinity may have been violated for them to be insecure, but God did not make man in his own image for them to walk around being insecure. It's not even biblically or spiritually correct. So we're going to talk a little bit about how does an insecure man find his security, which leads him to his presence.
You know, coming from a man who was insecure, I think I can answer this question from a personal experience. And one thing that we talk about or have conversation with wives is you have to ask the questions. You know, Sonia mentioned that you have to ask the questions. And the questions are, was my husband ever sexually abused, mentally abused, physically abused? I mean, you may know the story, but do you know what it's like for a 12-year-old boy to be sexually, mentally, and emotionally abused? What do you think is going to happen to that little boy? You know, you ask yourself the question, was he ever rejected by a girl when he was in high school? He asked the girl to go out and he likes her so much and she turns around and says, no, I don't like you because you got a big head. I don't like you because you stink. I don't like you. What do you think that little boy is going to turn out to be? You know, you ask the question, you know, what was his relationship like with his dad? Does he even know his father? Was he brought up in a home where dad says, you know, let's go out and play catch, son. Let's go out and just talk about what happens to your body when you change from 13 years old. Something happens. You know, did he have a father who sat down there and said, you know, look, son, you're smart enough. You're able to succeed. You're able to be successful. And so if a man didn't have all that, then this insecurity started there. If a man didn't have his mother to give him support and comfort when he failed and he came home and there wasn't a woman in the house to say, son, it's okay, let me hold you. Let me, you know, it's okay to cry. And so when a man didn't get that, then what do you think is going to happen to him when he becomes an adult? You know, I was reading this book, and it was his father talking to his son, and his father is trying to give his son the rules of life. And he says to his son, well, let me tell you about me, son. He says, you know, I have two wolves inside of me. I have two wolves inside of me that are going to fight, and they fight. And he says the first wolf has a posture of hate and of anger and low self-esteem and being insecure, and he has a lot of pain inside of him, and he has a lot of imperfections. You know, he has some superiority, he has some inferiority, he has an ego complex. And then the other wolf is a wolf who has the love and the faith and the kindness, and he's secure and he's sure about himself. And so the little boy looked at his dad and says, well, which wolf is going to win the fight? And the dad looked at him and said, it's what you feed the wolf. So if you're going to feed the wolf all the things that are hurtful and are painful that wolf experienced, the wolf is going to be a wolf with that behavior. But if you're going to feed that wolf the love and the peace and the harmony and the comfort and the approval and the attention, you feed that wolf that. So if you know your man has experienced some type of trauma in his life, then you feed the wolf the love, the encouragement, the approval, the patience. And so to answer that question, for an insecure man, he needs to be fed that love and that security from you. Because you know why? You are the helpmate. You are the helpmate. No matter what it is, if you say those things and you feed into your husband those things from the good wolf, or the wolf who has those kind of traits of love and respect and comfort and approval, then I promise you that insecure man is going to turn out to be a secure man.
That's powerful. That's powerful. We know a lot of men who are motherless or who were motherless as children. I have a son. I can't imagine what it would be like for him to not have me there to comfort him, to nurture him, to tell him he's good, to even correct him in a loving way when he's wrong. I can't imagine what that must be like. And I have a son. And I think we take for granted those disadvantages that some men have when they come without that love and that nurture from a mother.
Right.
Or their mother was there and she was abusive or absent or distracted or overwhelmed because there were too many kids or whatever.
Right.
But a man needs nurture in order for him to grow up to be a nurturing man.
I think what happens is that because we cause so much pain in the marriage, the wife may not want to be able to see that depth. And it's hard for them to see that depth because the presence has violated the essence.
Well, the essence has to activate. The essence has to activate. I mean, I really believe God put that in every single wife. And if you haven't found it, dig deep and ask God for it, because I really believe if you activate it, you'll be able to withstand the hurt. I withstood the hurt. I know lots of wives who have withstood the hurt. And if you haven't been able to, it may be because you've been damaged to a point where you need, like I said last episode, some heart surgery, some time to get your heart to heal. Because if you continue to stay in that hurt place, you're only going to feed the wolf food that's going to destroy you both.
Right, right. You know, and for the husbands, if you're watching, it's important for you to identify your wolf. Because if you're insecure and you don't have a place to go, you're going to cope poorly. You're going to hide behind the degrees. You're going to hide behind the letters behind your name. You're going to hide behind church. You're going to hide behind your profession. You're going to hide behind all those things, and they're counterfeit. And so, you know, pause for a minute and say, okay, this is the wolf that I'm feeding, and I have to make a paradigm shift because I'm hurting my wife, and I'm hurting my children, and more importantly, I'm hurting my legacy. Because if you keep on being a wolf, your legacy is going to be a wolf. Your children are going to be wolves, and they're going to have the other trait that is not productive in a marriage.
Well said, well said.
I feel like we need to talk about this some more.
I know. Maybe we'll come back and do
I don't know.
part
Let's just
two.
burn the clock out. Let's just keep on talking. It's serious.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
It
I'm
is.
passionate about. That's a good question about being insecure, and I think it's a consciousness going back to what we talked about in the first vlog, the mind of the husband and the heart of the woman, of
Yeah.
the wife. It's so important for couples to study that and understand that, because if you don't understand the heart and the mind, then all these other episodes, there's no
Foundation.
We can
Right.
talk about communication, we can talk about sex, we can
Right.
talk about in-laws, and
Right.
until you get that,
Right.
then it's going to be hard for you to have an effective sex life.
This is the core of a healthy marriage. The mind of the man and the heart of the woman, the presence of a husband and the essence of a wife. This is the heart,
The power of the P.
power of the peace. So now you know what it is. It's presence and essence comes from it. So now that you know,
Get your presence, men. Get your presence.
so now that you know,
Get your presence.
so now that you know
What you
you're
going to do.
with it.
We thank you so much for listening. Continue to subscribe to our channel. Continue to share it because we want people to understand how to be married.
Keep sending your questions.
Yes, we got a lot of
And we
questions.
look forward to seeing you next week. Same time, same channel. Until then, take care of yourselves.
Take care.
Thanks for watching.